Three, two, one. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the HSBG Podcast. I'm your host, Educatedcollins. I'm here with my constant co-host, Shady Bunny. Shady, how you doing?
Doing quite well, Collins. Doing quite well. How are you today?
I'm good. My family's coming, so I was just lazing around as I do. Then you reminded me that hey, we gotta do this, and I was like, "You're right. It is Friday." Excited,
When I saw
excited.
you, yeah, I didn't want to assume anything, but when I saw you streaming Snap, I was like, I should probably casually drop like, hey,
You should. You should.
yeah,
100%.
it was
And
I guess experience that taught me that that's possible that you
hey,
forgot.
Collins,
Yeah,
I know we have something to do, but like, did you forget? Like, I did. Yes. What like unexpected things or like things not on schedule can like make me forget about other things that you do.
yeah,
So um,
kind of just like drop out of your routine.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah. But happy Thanksgiving, definitely for the people that celebrate that, and hope things are horrible for the people that don't know. Right? Like I don't know, like everyone happy. Hope things are doing well. Right? Like I never understand that. Like why only the people that are celebrating? Everybody needs a little bit of love, but generally there isn't like too much to like new things in Hearthstone. I would say this week. Uh, but there's still a couple of things that we should talk about. So we do always start with our weekly overview. Um, my week, I play a little bit of Hearthstone. Definitely not as much as in the peak because of there's no qualifying anything like that. But I still play a couple of games. I also play a little bit of the arena, but it's not like it's not that important. But it's just cool to see the old cards. Though some people don't like that because the cards are like very what's the word? They're
More
uh,
vanilla-esque or like,
vanilla. Yes, thank you, Shady.
yeah.
How do you
Well,
know what I'm gonna say?
we've, we've been playing for a long time, and I guess we did both play that era. So
they're very vanilla, very uh Yeti esque. So
yeah,
some people are
we
just saying
still
there's just not
enjoy it.
enough, especially when you come from the old arena meta where it's like, oh, I play this huge, not well, old by old I mean the new meta, right? Like where I play this big gigantic dragon that summons more dragons, and then my spell gives me two dragons if I do this, and then now this dragon blows the board, but then I have this dragon that gives me five spells. So I know I'm saying it like it's a
Yeah,
dragon meta, but like this, it kind of can be if those decks I do tend to do well. But other than that, been having okay time playing a bit of Snap as JD saw, but casually, not really grinding hard, but still pretty doing pretty well. How about you, Shady? I know you have an interesting week.
yeah, it's been it's been fun. I've been playing more relaxed with, as you mentioned, the ladder not being as important now. Being the tryhard that I am, of course, I still want to win. So for me, more relaxed means I can just play a Smurf and I don't feel the need to, work on my main account. My main account is like, I don't know, rank 13 right now. And it's just a lot more relaxed if I lose on an account that's not the main account, where I'm just like, all right, well, we lost, it happens, and try again. So I'm playing on the Twitch chat account, which I used to do a lot before Lobby Legends came out, but
Uh-huh.
after Lobby Legends came out, there wasn't really time to play. It was either play on the main or maybe grind up an A. And now it's more fun. We're ranked 27, I think, on Twitch chat, so
Sweet.
playing the good lobbies. Yeah, it's just fun to be able to do Wally and Twitch chat, like exclamation mark
And
BG
you
rank
just see
Twitch
both
chat.
of them.
Well, just exclamation mark BG rank Twitch chat where other people can do it, and they're like, "Hey, Twitch chat is top 50 right now," or when you beat a
How
streamer.
is Twitch chat so good? That's what I ask
I
myself
know,
all
yeah.
the time, man. Twitch chat is just so good.
And they're free to play as well
Oh
because
damn!
they're
That's
styling on the
crazy.
other view. I was like, yeah, of course, Twitch chat has to be free to play, right? There's no way we're gonna get the heroes. No, it does give me some interesting. games where I need to play a lot more heroes that I would normally not pick. Like I think
Any
you also get
any
yeah.
heroes that you're like, ooh, I normally would never pick this, but now that I've been playing it with Twitch chat, it's actually not that bad. Like any
Let me
heroes.
open up the stats to make sure. I
Okay,
know
that's
I've
fair.
been playing. I know I've been playing a lot of Jailer in lobbies where I normally wouldn't pick Jailer, and it's been fine. So that's been cool. Like I don't know if it's just been good luck with quests because he is armor tier 4,
Right.
so it's decent. So I think there might still be some kind of weighting towards Jailer, where it's a new hero, and
You
therefore you
that
get the
is
new
that
hero.
like that sounds like conspiracy to me.
I've had other people free to play tell me
Say
that as
something
well,
like
but
that.
well, I mean, we don't. It's not important, I guess, but
I
I
mean,
think
it's
that
if it's true, it's kind of important.
well, we knew that that was absolutely the case in the past with new heroes, right? They were being pushed. New
Oh
heroes
yeah, I
did
mean,
get.
yeah, you see them more often, but like, are they getting better quests? That's what it sounds like
Oh
you're saying.
no, no, no! I was talking about I'm just getting more
Oh
jailers
yeah.
because I'm
Okay,
free to
yeah,
play, right?
okay,
No,
yeah.
no, I wasn't implying that jailer gets insane
Oh,
quests.
that's what I thought. I was like, oh,
That
that's
was
kind of important. Like, holy moly.
my mistake. Then my mistake. Had a really strong Toki game where
I think
Toki's not
Toki's
bad.
good actually.
Yeah, yeah, we know that, right? But it's easier to pick her because it's like, well, it's Toki and this thing I don't want to play, so let's
Ah,
go Toki. Or I remember when Gallywix was the safe pick in a certain lobby, and I was like, wow, this two hero thing is the burden of choice is removed. Gallywix is my safe pick
is
here.
the
That's
same
great.
figure.
Excuse me. I think I got another zero armor hero or so, and Gallywix has easier quests compared to other people
Mhm.
because you can spend money more freely. So I was like, well, Gallywix is just safer here, so let's do it. Same thing with Millhouse, you know, like
Right.
Millhouse is a safe
I
pick
mean,
here. So in a way, it's quite relaxing when the burden of choice is removed. So
ooh, the
I don't think there's anything that stands out. It's just I guess I get to pick with a more clear conscience. I guess when I have these ambitious heroes offered, a lot of the time it's just not worth to go with the alternative. So I guess that's probably the main thing that stands out. It's a lot easier to slam a Millhouse or a Galley.
that's super fair. Super fair.
Yeah, yeah, which is a weird thing because normally you'd say more options is better, and it is, right? But it's nice to know that, well, there was no alternative. So I, because normally, when you top eight with a galley, I should have gone with you. I should have. Like that's so easy for that to jump into your mind, where you just know, like, I'm just gonna torment myself over this ambitious pick, and now I don't have that. So also cool to see how the free to play is so viable, and I think we mentioned that in a previous episode where it's interesting to see like if you're at Blizzard, if you're in charge of the balance,
Uh-huh.
you see this play out, and I'd be afraid to get rid of quests and be like, all right, we're going back to the way it was, so good luck playing Jiraxes. Good luck playing Mactoggle, or so
Yeah.
I
Over
yeah.
time, I've gotten like more like okay with it. Like in the beginning, I was like, ah man, I just lose. I don't like quests. But like over time, after playing, it's like it gives you a lot of options. Obviously, there's still some games where you just get bad quests or so, and you're not playing like a good
Mhm.
hero. Usually, if you get a bad quest, you're playing like a good hero, so you don't care. Or if and then if you're playing, a poor hero, like your quests are a lot better for you. So, and so the low roll is like even lower, right? Because there's multiple uh checks, I guess. Where before it's like the hero is the check, and that's the only check. Now you have the hero check, and then you have the quest check. So
So you're saying that in a lower percentage of your games, but still a percentage, you feel completely lost because you've picked a bad hero in the hopes to get an easy quest, and then you get no good quest.
yeah, but it's slower. It's definitely better than if there was only heroes or so.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, so there's just fewer opportunities where you feel hopeless,
Yeah,
but the
that's what I'm
moments
saying.
where yeah, but when it's bad, it's really bad.
Well, the thing is, it's always bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like even when there's no quest and you get a like it still feels just as bad. So the feeling is still the same, but
Right.
the
Okay.
occurrence is less. So that's just a plus overall, like in comparison. Is what I'm saying.
No, I would agree with that, and I think that there's just so there. I think we should mention a few where I think Teal, Tiger, Sapphire. The text is you were offered two quests, right?
Really, I'd
When
say Teal,
no,
Tiger, Sapphire. You win the lobby if there's no Murlocs and demons are in. You get your Felbat easy.
are
It's
you
it's funny, dude. Like
you're
I
Twitch chatting me now, or
I
what?
I I win, dude. I win these games, man. I picked Teal Tiger quite a bit.
No, you're not.
I win these
No,
games, Shady.
no, I
You're
gotta
you're
cover my ears. I just gotta
you're
sit here. I
you're
every
disrespecting Teal Tiger, sir.
yeah, obviously it's complete
In
garbage, but
Felbat, no Murloc lobbies, my friend.
yes,
It's
but you cannot pick something that only works when you hit a specific six drop. Like the
yes, you
chance.
can. I do it.
No,
I
like
do it,
you're
sir.
not.
I do it, sir. It works for me.
Like, what do you do when you don't hit it?
I force it. I go to 6 and I roll and I get it anyways. Or I mean, usually, like there are sometimes I ignore that quest. Like I picked it, okay, didn't hit it. I'm just playing a different game. I
Okay.
just I do a different scaling comp. Oh, instead of Felbat, I got Eliza. Oh no, I'm playing Eliza Pirates. Woe is me. Oh,
Yeah,
my
but
Baron's
you're.
a 411 or whatever. Like
I don't think you get to go to six
I
as
go to
freely
6 with
as.
every hero, Shady.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but what about the? But
What if-
you don't care too much about the downside. I feel like you just
no, I don't,
can't
Shady.
top
There's
it.
no
Yeah,
qualification.
but
but
that's
I
what I
don't. But
mean.
I don't top 8 that much. To be fair, right? Like it's not like
Yeah, okay.
it,
It's fair because you're a very, very good
yeah.
player,
So
and
like,
but
if
still,
you're that skill level, you can play like me. You know what I mean? Like, but I wouldn't like recommend my strategy to everyone. No, but yeah, it works for me because I can play that way. You know, like yeah. So this is why
yeah.
like you have to account for player difference, right? Like where it's like
I do understand it, but I still feel like if I were to pick that at the level of punishment, right? Where
yes,
it's
tournament play is different. I play different in
well,
tournaments.
not tournament play, but even ladder where you get just punished for you lose points for like 3.5, right? It just feels like it's so risky to go with something where if I don't hit a fellbat, I essentially don't really have a quest.
The thing is, the quest is so easy that you're not doing anything different to activate it. You just have it,
Yes,
and
that's
then
true.
you can play
I
it normal. If you hit a
well,
direction, you just ignore the quest. If you hit
well,
a
the thing with
fellbat, okay, your game plan is there.
playing normal without a quest isn't normal in this meta, though, right? Like
So
if
I'm
you
not.
don't,
Oh, okay. I gravitate heroes that could win without quests, right? Like good heroes, right? I'm not. I don't pick like those like huge armor heroes, right? I usually lean towards the heroes that have lower armor. So the tier is like, oh, I'm gonna get this relatively quickly, but then even if I don't, I have a good hero that can win as long as I have some direction. So maybe that's the difference here. I'm usually gravitating towards heroes that can win without quests. You know, like if you give me Galliwix and I take tier, right? Like,
yeah,
oh
no, yeah,
no.
that's Yali's a different one.
Okay,
Yeah.
give me another good hero. Like what like Millhouse, I
Well, that
guess.
it depends. Well, Millhouse and Galley are both pretty low
Okay,
because they're.
what hero? What
But those are the two economy heroes, right? Like
uh
there's no other heroes like Millhouse and
what
Galley.
about Scabs? Is Scabs good enough? Like like no armor. Yeah.
I would not be comfortable
Winning with
not
a
having a
Scabs.
quest. Well, playing scabs, sure, but like not having a quest.
I
Like
mean,
what you're
I'm
saying
just
you're
saying.
winning.
I'm like, obviously, if there's a better quest, I'm taking it, Shady. I'm just saying, like, I've taken like no Murlocs, demons in. Okay, I'm Scabs. I trigger it in like freely without thinking about it. Okay, I tripled into a 6. Oh, it was a Fellbat. Okay, well,
All right.
game's done. You know what I
The
mean?
the way how I look at it is that if it were free, I wouldn't take it in most of my selections. Like literally, you get it by
There
spending
are
zero
worse
gold.
quests In my opinion, there are worse quests shady.
Which ones are worse?
Oh boy, you're right. Fine, let's go look at.
No, I feel like Teal Tiger for me, it's like you weren't offered a quest,
Nah.
and I don't have that feeling with almost anything else. I think there's maybe one more. So I mean, obviously there's specific ones as well.
Battlegrounds, Hearthstone. What about the Blood Goblet? Can be no quest in some certain areas for sure.
Can be, yeah.
Yeah. Same thing with Teal Tiger. It can be no.
No. I mean, I think if mech is in, then like with Deflecto and stuff, it's
Yeah. I agree. If blood, there's a use for Blood Goblet.
But like, rolling a Deflecto or getting a Felbat, those are two very, very different.
Because you like staying on 4.
I mean, just by virtue that
sometimes volatile venom is not a quest, right? In the right lobbies.
I think if you have access to either beast or mech,
I know, but like that's not always the case, right?
Yeah, but okay, so
I'm saying like that in some scenarios it's not a quest.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I was just saying that in no matter what lobby, I look at Teal Tiger and I feel like I wasn't offered a quest because I don't like picking.
And I'm telling you, the No Murloc Demon lobby is the lobby where you're like, this is okay. This is the one lobby. Yes, go for it. That's my point. That's all I'm saying. Like every other lobby in existence, I agree with you. This lobby, No Murloc Demon's okay. It's now available. That's the only thing I'm advocating here. I don't like tiny henchmen. I mean, obviously it's a quest, but I don't love it. It's still expensive to me.
I've had so many tiny henchmen complete in 2 turns recently.
Well, I don't have that, and maybe that's because I picked the heroes where it's expensive.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It feels like this is too much of a cost.
I had a brand game recently where I activated it on the turn I got it.
And I've never done that with tiny henchmen. So.
It's like play 5 battle cry, and it was like bam, 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 bam. So I got like tiny henchmen.
I still don't like Menagerie Mayhem shady. Still don't like it. So
it's good.
I hear you. It doesn't feel good to play though. I'm getting +1 attack. Well, it's usually +3 attack. +3 attack. I was like, where's my health scaling? Shady, where's my? I need big stats.
It's great in combination with like a Theo. It's great with I've done it with Whelp Smuggler as well. Whelp Smuggler and then Ball of
Minions. Whelp Smuggler sounds good.
Yeah, 1 or 2 dragons. Just like a Felbat and a Ball of Minions, and then just get more attack. Deflectobot, get more attack. Cleave. To me it's, but again, right, you don't want to take it if it's going to take you forever. So Menagerie Mayhem for me is a quest that probably not quite the same as Teal, because Teal is super easy almost every time, but it's like your argument where it's like, okay, it's not an inconvenience and then I can do something with it. For me, Mayhem is I'll pick it when it's not an inconvenience, and then I know that it's going to be good in the mid game. It almost always just surprises me at how useful it is. I guess.
Fair enough. I like, maybe I'm undervaluing, but I'm just saying like those are some options where I'm like, I don't really want to pick it. The rest of them I always like. You can always pick like the rest of them. It depends on how easy the quest is to complete, right? Comparatively, but maybe you just like overall have an easier time completing every quest because your armor levels are higher on average than mine are, where I have like I can't pick this more than not because the heroes I play, the armor level just makes it like this isn't feasible for me to get it reasonably, and that might be the difference where I'm like, well, the other quests are unreasonable. Teal Tiger I can get automatically, so I'm gonna take it. And then
I probably am too harsh on it. Maybe sometimes I close my mind to things a bit too much.
We all do that for sure. But
yeah. No, I had actually very, very randomly yesterday stumbled upon a co-op with XQM.
I can raise you
up. Right, yeah, that's okay. Apparently, I'll can talk more into the microphone as well. I'm not sure if it's just on your end with settings changing.
You sound a lot louder now. Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. There we go. All you gotta do is
right. Yeah. If this was Joe Rogan be like, just pull that sucker right up. Really. It's just all right. Just talk into the mic. So I've had a like very, very random encounter where yesterday I happened upon a co-op with XQN, and I'm playing Varden, and
I love how that can happen randomly.
I know.
Not
so
many
because
people could say that.
I just get called out of the blue Discord by a third person, and XQN is in the call, and that's how it happened basically. So it was very randomly out of the blue, but so we're playing, and I'm playing Varden, and the quest rolls around, and it's play 12 Naga for Volatile Venom, and we have 2 Nagas ready to go.
Play 12 Nagas for Volatile Venom.
I know, right? So, and he's like, it's Venom. And I'm like, you're crazy. And it's like, no, it's Venom. And we have like...
What else is it? Beaster?
Yeah. So the competition is like 18 attacks for Cookbook. And I'm sitting there like, I don't love it. Mexer. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't love the Cookbook, but the 12 Nagas feel suicide. I'm like, Jesus, man, how the hell do you play? Well, it's like Nagas and Demons or Beasts. I think Nagas and Beasts.
Beasts are a lot easier than Demons.
Yeah, I think it was Beast, Naga and Beast. So the we stay on tier 3, and it's just like we have like 2 jugglers.
So we did pick the Varden.
Yeah. So we have Varden, and well, I mean,
you did take the Volatile. You're like,
how many times do you cope with XQN? So I'm just saying, like, I think you're crazy, but I'm gonna do it because I want to learn, right? So, and spoiler, it actually was pretty good. So but we had to play different. So we stayed on tier 3, and we did a lot of rolling, like, because he was really looking for specific hits, and I guess when you're playing Varden, it makes a bit more sense because if you roll a Pashmar, you roll 2 of them. If you roll a Rat Pack, you roll 2 of them. So I think the 2 big ones were Pashmar, Rat Pack, because it was Beast or Naga. And then Rat Pack you can utilize.
Rat Pack, Volatile Venom wins you the fights forever.
But it takes a long time, right? So remember, we're doing 12 Naga. We're starting with 2 that turn.
So it's 10
That's
Nagas.
10 more, right? So you roll 2 Rat Packs.
Minimum 4 turns.
It's a wow. Well, you can... So we cycled Scouts, got the Coin Naga, etc., etc. So we could cheese it a little bit here and there.
3.
Yeah, it was more like that. So then we get to push it to tier 4 to turn we complete it. I think it was like 10 gold or something. And then from then on it was go to 5.
So it only took 4 turns. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then it's like go to 5, go to 6.
Of course.
And then roll into Busters, get Kangor. And then we end up losing to like Bad Combat RNG. We get second place, right? So we end up losing to like Bad Combat RNG and just
so you went for Busters, not for Mechs.
We went for Busters, not Beasts. Yeah. Okay. So we ended up playing. So Varden has an easy time making Golden Baron, etc. So we had Golden Baron, Buster, Kangors.
That's why.
So yeah. It's so that's where I was on the topic of maybe having my mind too closed to Teal, and I definitely had my mind too closed to play 12 because in my mind it was like play 12. What the? No, I'm dying, right? Like there's no way. We did have to play different, right? It's not like you're pushing an early 4. We stayed on tier 3.
But for Volatile Venom, I can see it.
Yeah. The and to be fair, if you're going to do it for a quest that gives you the instant tempo, that's how you do it, right? It has
to be a quest like that.
Yeah. So you'd have to pop up big. A second. Yeah. Yeah. So the I'm willing to give Teal a chance, I guess, in certain lobbies, and just because I need to.
No Murlocs, Demons, like it's so simple.
Right. Yeah, just so I can see it. I need to feel it, right? Because oh, my little one says,
hello.
Okay, hello. Yeah, Maya. Hello. All right, so my daughter's here. Now she's demanding a song. So. I need to go find my wife.
Okay.
Maybe you can maybe talk.
Don't worry.
Maybe introduce her to the next topic.
Go do it yourself.
Come on, man. Say dada.
All right. Well, Shady is busy living life and all that nonsense. let's talk about Hearthstone. Woo, these are some good quests, etc. But anyways, um, we're gonna talk more about particular quests and stuff like that. We do have some things to cover, but I don't really want to cover them in particular. We were kind of just asking while Shady was climbing on his old wood, things he found noticeable, things he found interesting.
All right, I'm here.
And, hey, look, he's back. But we've all been on this topic quite a bit. One thing to ask: do you want to talk about Lobby Legends?
Yeah, no problem. No problem. I heard that you were like, I was watching your VOD of basically the review, right? And you were like, I don't know, like, I don't know if we're gonna talk about it. It's a little gloomy. It's like, don't worry about it.
Well, I'm different. Okay, yeah. I don't know if I would. You know what I mean? Per se, because we had a scenario like that. I don't think we talked about it for a while.
Which is fine. Yeah, I mean, different. So I think that there was definitely points in this year or last year where if that would have happened, I may have used that option to say I don't want to talk about it. So I think that's totally fair. I think it totally depends on where your head is at. I think for me it helps a lot as well because I have such a as you can see my daughter walking in, like it's like, oh no, I lost in Lobby Legends, and then it's like, all right, well, back to taking care of my kid. It's really more like
it do be like that, don't it?
Exactly. It was more like a side thing where it's like, all right, daddy's gonna play a tournament. All right, dad didn't make it. So yeah, it's well, spoilers, of course.
Spoilers. How could you? How could you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been a while, so.
True.
But it's also good. I guess we don't have to let them down too hard. So now they can be eased into it. Like, all right, he didn't make it, but now we can get into the debrief or so. So did you want to say anything, or do you want me to just like start talking about the tournament thing?
I mean, this is your tournament, shit. If you want to talk about it, I'm here. Well, we played it. He played it on what day was it? 16th, right?
Saturday, I think. Yeah, Saturday.
So the 16th.
So last weekend, so less than a week ago. It's Friday now.
I guess the cool thing is I did go over the games afterwards, but then Shady came and told me, hey, you messed up here at this point. Like I missed about this.
Well, there were a few things, but I don't mind. You were just the way how you looked at that play was like, yeah, it's just down to 4-4. It's just like, yeah, it's just strictly wrong. I was like, well, let's not be silly. There's reasons. There's reasons.
Fair enough.
Oh man. All right. So yeah, the tournament is last Saturday. For those of you who don't know, the Lobby Legends qualifier, that is the second stage of the journey towards the Lobby Legends tournament. So first stage is top 16 in ladder. Then you qualify for the next stage, which is the one we played on that Saturday. That's the top 48. So you have the top 16 of NA, EU, and APAC. They get scattered across 6 lobbies. You play your first 3 matches. If you land in the top 4 at the end of those 3 matches, you qualify to the next stage, which is the top 24 then. Yeah, and that one then gets cut down to the top 12. So essentially the process gets repeated. Another 3 matches. You need to land in the top 4 of your lobby, and then you are in the top 12. And then you finally go through to the last, well, not the last stage yet. You go to the semis then. That's the top 16 because you get those 12. They get joined by the top 4 of China. And then if you win there, you go to the final 8. And that's, last day of Lobby Legends. But getting into the top 16, I think, is sort of considered being into the last stage. That's when you're in the money. That's when you're on the broadcast, etc. So I get started. The very first lobby was a Mukla where I get offered Devils in the Details and some other stuff where
not a great.
I just I looked at that and you sort of just feel your courage just slipping away when you're like, not in Lobby Legends. Just give me like Cookbook Mexin or something, man. Come on, why do I have to play with Devils in the Details? So yeah, that's definitely not my preferred quest. But I will say that I feel like I'm very, very comfortable scrapping. So making something out of nothing, buying Leroy's, buying Mantids, buying Selfless Heroes. It was a no Murloc lobby, I believe. Yeah. So I got a little lucky in that game where I got unlucky at the start. So
Right.
I'm playing Mukla Devils in the Details, but I buy a Trickster, and then on 7 gold I open 2 more Tricksters. So I'm like, oh, thank God, I have something, right? There's some hope here. So I take that triple all the way to a 5. I was thinking about a 6, but it didn't make sense to me because then that turn where you take a 6, you get smacked, and then the turn after you don't even have a full board. So and the quest would be so late, right? I wasn't going to rush the quest because essentially if you wanted to rush the quest, I need to take a 3 or a 4 with that Trickster. So I figured taking a 5 seemed more important than rushing Devils in the Details. And I hit an Agam. So that Agam then allowed me to do something, right? Like, hey, I can buy gems. I can scale this Trickster. I finally procced my Devils in the Details on tier 4. I had to buy like Nagas and something. And I ended up with a Wave Rider pair, which I then tripled into an Atissa, right? Because I did have enough resources now to go for a 6. And then I was playing this very humble game where I was just cycling gems to proc my Agam and my Atissa. And I really just sneaked my way into a top 2 where I saw Cookie on the way, actually. This was the funny thing. I saw Cookie being like tier 5, ready to go, right? So he went 3-on-3 and hit an Overseer. And I was already thinking like, oh, that's bad news, right? That's 3-on-3 and you have an Overseer on turn 3. That's nasty because that means he's going to double buy the turn after. He's going to have 2 big minions and then can power level. So yeah, Cookie did that, just got this nasty board with fell bats and all that. So I end up having enough health to tank the Cookie for 1 turn where I drop from like my 30 something into the low teens or maybe even single digits. No, I think it was like 16 health or so left. And then I survive the Kale fast after that as well. And then the Kale dies to the Cookie. And I'm like, top 2. Okay, great. And that's just by scrapping, by, buying those Sun Bacons, getting those Leroys and getting ready. So I'm feeling really good after game 1. I'm just like, yes, Mukla Devils in the Details, top 2 in Lobby Legends. Let's go, right? Because that was my whiff, right? And I'm trying now. All right, so my next one is Millhouse, where I'm pretty proud of myself for that one because I tend to be very conservative, especially in these tournaments. So I ended up saying, okay, well, there's a lot of economy in. Don't be scared, right? There's no way you're going to qualify for Lobby Legends without taking any kind of risk. Unfortunately, that won't happen, right? We don't have the ability to say, I'm gonna just play safe in all 6 games and surely the qualification will come my way. So I end up taking Millhouse, and then the quest rolls around and it's like summon 25 or summon 30. I think it's summon 30 for Pilfered Lambs, and I'm like, oh boy. So I'm playing Millhouse, Pilfered Lambs on Asia. Yeah, that's like play a card, wait, play a card, wait. And I know with Pilfered Lambs, that's hard to do on EU, so that's impossible to do on Asia. Millhouse Pilfered Lambs, that is, when cards only cost 2 gold, and then you sell them for 1 gold after. But long story short, I get there, I think, through good money management. I bought like a Scallywag and a Sewer Rat to help me out with the summons. Then I had this one really big turn where I had to just keep going and cycle. Had just enough money. I saved up 3 pairs. My 3 pairs all procced, plop, plop, plop. So I get my triples, or was it 2 pairs? I think it's 2 pairs. Yeah, 2 pairs procced. And I'm leveling at the same turn. I slam 6s. I get like an Atissa and something else. So from that point on, I'm sort of playing Pilfered Lambs, APM Naga style thing. And for that game, I think you commented on me still having a Coiler. I kept that Coiler because Murlocs were in, so I didn't want to get poison scammed. So I figured if I get a big ass Reborn Coiler, that's going to really help me out versus small poison Murlocs and Magic Queens, etc.
I just wasn't too worried about the Murloc player. Like when I looked at the situation.
Right, yeah, maybe I decided that too early. Yeah. Where I was just like, I'm doing that.
I think the first turn, like the first 2 turns, it made a lot of sense, and then you put Reborn on it, right? But I think like after a while, like the Murloc players, weren't the threats.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I
basically had
yeah.
Sinstone kind of game plan essentially with Nagas, which is just crazy. And how much economy and rolling you could do. So
Well, you were saying it feels like Sinstone, or because
yeah,
it was
it
lands,
feels.
right?
I know it feels like
Yeah, yeah.
Sinstone. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, okay.
Like
Yeah, I know.
the turns you were doing, I was like, dude, this is triple into triple into triple
I
into.
had more money at the end of my turn,
Yeah,
roughly, than at the
then at
start.
the
Yeah.
beginning, yeah.
And it was such a shame that was played on Asia, because it was just, yeah, I could have done so much more if I was able to play my
Right,
cards, or reconnecting, which I don't
right,
really do in the first place
right.
anyway. But either way,
Fun
I'm
game.
feeling okay, and then it's all the way to the top 3, and then I just queue into this wag toggle, no Togwaggle, who just has these giga elementals, and I'm like, okay, I'm dead. Now, I could have positioned better, and I could have maybe anticipated a big wildfire a bit more, because I could have tried to cheese kill the wildfire with a Leroy. But you know how it is with, if you're barely finishing your turns, it's really hard to also fix positioning. And I think that's maybe something in for the future going forward, that
Yeah,
I can just say, okay, I need those 5 seconds for positioning. It doesn't matter what else I'm going to be doing. Just make sure that, like, miss the +10 or whatever you're still adding to your board. Just miss that. Get your positioning right. Because, yeah, if I had caught this big wildfire with the Leroy, I don't know if I ever have a chance to tie there or not die and then, take a top 2 instead of a top 3. But, funny enough, the Pilfered Lamb's Millhouse scored lower than the Mukla with the Devils in the Details, which is hilarious, because the Mukla's board was so shitty, right? It was like 2 Leroys, a big Trickster, and some garbage. But anyways, on we go to game 3. So I'm feeling pretty good right now. I got top 2, I got top 3. So yeah, ready to go. I hit the Cthulhu, and the twist comes around. It's Mask, and it's
dude, I hated this game, man.
it is.
I
Yeah, no, I
hated.
felt bad. I felt bad. I didn't need it either, right? I really didn't need it. But I played for first because it didn't make sense to not play for first. I just went for a big dragon pivot, where I remember holding a scout on my board, and I held it specifically for a 3-drop to hit the dragon, right? The AoE dragon, and I hit it from the scout. And then I just rolled it down on tier 3 for Whelp Smuggler, and I just kept this strategy going, where I just said, okay, I'm not even going to go for Nadina, because if I go for Nadina too early, then I just have fewer dragons that are scaling. I'm just going to full milk. And then at the end, I'll just be on tier 6 trying to find Nadina. Didn't end up fighting the Nadina, but I won my finals by white maining the enemy Deflecto, which was Cookbook. So yeah, they got very big, but white main on it meant it didn't get a reset, and it also took double damage. So I ended up sort of accidentally killing them. I was just going to try to beat them and then scale. I was like, wow, they were dead. Okay. Because they were proper large, right? They had a
Right,
good
yeah.
board, and with worse combat RNG, I probably can lose that, and accept, like not even just not kill them, but probably lose. So anyways, that's the first stage. So pretty relaxed. We're like, I was even telling my chat, like, wow, I gotta really make sure I'm not too relaxed going into the next game, because I didn't do anything this game. I played Cthulhu with Mask and Dragons, and I scaled and Murlocs were out. So we just made a big board. And yeah, the disaster strikes. Game number 4, first lobby of the new round, and I get a panda. It's just sort of hero power after hero power that's not really helping me. And oh, man, when I have that on panda, I'm like, oh, I don't have a hero power, and I have armor tier 0. This is not good. I think, one crucial error to stay on tier 3 one turn too long, because I get offered a Millhouse hero power, and I'm playing too defensive. Now, I reviewed the VOD, and honestly, the way how the combat went and the way how the opponents went, I think if I go to Forder, I'm still screwed.
I personally wasn't too sad about this game. I think this game,
yeah, just a rough one.
yeah, just like bad situation there. The one thing is, like, we did talk in the last podcast about how, Master Wind was good, and then they nerfed it. So I was like, oh, maybe he's not gonna take it because we just talked about it not getting nerfed. But I think that was the most comfortable hero, and it's hard to say don't pick your most comfortable hero in a Lobby Legends tournament, right? Like,
yeah, I just wanted to play comfort,
I
and
agree with
honestly,
that.
the panda wasn't even high on the comfort list there. It was just the 3 others were even less comfort.
I was looking
So
at Sneed. That was the one that I would be looking
Yeah,
for.
so I think Sneed is like the theoretical better one, but
Right.
much lower comfort for me than
Yeah,
Panda.
that's what I'm
So
saying. Like, so I don't mind
yeah,
the Master Win pick
yeah.
up there, right? But that was the only thing where I was like, and maybe staying on 3, right? But like that's not
Yeah.
guaranteed that it would be better.
No, I think what I
So
got hit with, the
yeah,
person was so strong.
yeah.
It's
So
like,
I
yeah.
don't have any problems with that game in particular. There, it's just like
I know. Yeah, I watched you have a problem with the Elise game,
the
right?
least game was the one I had an issue with. Yeah,
So I think you and I probably have a different evaluation of Wisdom Ball and what it does. I
it's
don't
so
think
good.
it's. Yeah, I
It's
don't think
way
it's that
better than
good.
whatever you think it is. It's way better than that. Whatever you think it is, it's way better than whatever.
I don't know. I've just had too many Wisdom Ball games where it ends up not really getting there, and especially in like such a high pressure environment. But anyways, we'll go on to the next game. So the next game is Elise, and I end up taking Smoking Gun over Wisdom Ball when Wisdom Ball is spent 45, I believe.
Yeah.
And
So you'll
Smoking Gun
get it
is
in like
play.
5 turns, I guess. Is
Yeah. So the idea I had in mind for that game was because I already had 2 gamblers, so I had a really good setup to go to tier 5 early and then hero power for
right.
beasts.
Yeah. But you also had 2 gamblers for the spend 45 gold too, as well. Like that's another thing.
Yeah, but that's going to shave off like half a turn, right?
It's still important.
So yeah, no, and I'm not saying that it's not the right play, the Wisdom Ball.
Right.
I just think that like the way how the games went, I was really trying to sneak in like a third or a second going hard on Beast. And that game looked also a lot worse because Malagos just hit insanely hard. Malagos went tier 5 a turn early. So I went tier 5 early. I went tier 5 on 9 gold. Malagos went tier 5 on 8 gold. So just went giga risky level. And he just rolled 4 baby crushes, 2 crocodiles, mama bear, and tripled into Goldrun. And I fought him on that turn. And I was just sitting there and I felt so hopeless for him. Like, Jesus, man, not only are you hitting me for 15, you've also taken every single unit I want out of the pool already. And that was just, I think that game goes a lot better in a lot of cases because I'm actually doing really well, right? Like being able to push tier 5 on 9 gold in such a lobby and being pretty strong, like that's solid because I had Smoking Gun active with a croc on the board with a Bronze Warden because I win that round, right? Like the 9 gold turn, I win that round. But then the turn after I hit the Mally, or 1 or 2 turns after I hit the Mally, and that's when I see just what the hell he's been rolling. So yeah, that was a rough game where I just wasn't able to find those tempo. I still get a solo 4.
Right.
I think, which is a testament to how well my game was going because I really didn't roll much. I think I ended up just having 2 baby crushes, a crocodile, and some shit, right? Like 2 rat packs.
It wasn't a good board.
Yeah. So I think to get solo 4 with that is a testament to that the plan was solid overall. Because if I hit a little bit better tempo beast, I think that essentially if that Malagos doesn't have a horseshoe up his ass for that game, I feel like I take second place a lot of the time. And then from that position, my last game is not like all or nothing. I just need to do well. But I do agree that if you're going off the higher ceiling pick, the Wisdom Ball makes sense. What I was afraid of is I'm going to pick Wisdom Ball, and that probably means I need to stay on tier 4 to proc it and then to roll.
No.
I wasn't sure whether I was going to be able to, because if I push to 5 without that Smoking Gun proc, I do lose that round, which means I'm taking the damage. So pushing the early 5 with the Wisdom Ball and then getting the ball active on tier 5, right? Yeah. It just made it feel like it was going to be too risky. And then I had like 1 or 2 turns max for the Wisdom Ball to pop off, give me a comp. And I just felt like that was so like, oh my God. Because I feel like Wisdom Ball would be a lot weaker in a Lobby Legends setting than it was on ladder. Because Wisdom Ball is really the, sorry, go ahead.
No, I want you to talk for sure.
Right. So it just felt like it's more of a, here, I'll give you the tools to win the game if you have a little time. Because I've just had so many wisdom ball turns where I roll and I'm just like, okay, is this supposed to be good? Okay, I guess, yeah, sure. +3/+3 to the shop. Divine Shield on some random minions. Okay. And then suddenly you're like 5 or 6 gold in and you haven't bought anything yet. And you're just like, I just didn't feel like I could ever survive a turn like that in such a setting. But once again, right, I could also take it. I can then roll. And the very, very first roll, is it a Murloc lobby? I'm not even sure if it was a Murloc lobby.
It might have been a Murloc lobby, but also Beasterwood. So I don't think there was a lot of Murloc players really.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out whether Bran, right? Because like if Murlocs are in, Wisdom Ball, tier 4, Bran, Murlocs, right? That would be a little easier because Wisdom Ball does have a way of delivering you a Bran in one form or another. Like either because you tripled into it or because you got the utility roll or this or that. So I seem to remember that Murlocs weren't in, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Either way, that was my thought process when I was looking at that game. And after that game, I'm not in an awful spot, as in I'm completely out of it, but I do need a second place or first place. Or if I'm scoring lower than that, I need my direct competitor to get like a 7th or an 8th. And yeah, essentially in the last game, I end up playing Vash. And I did think by this point that I was getting a little tired and not playing 100% because I feel like I played fine.
Yeah, Murlocs were
in the Elise game. Yeah. Okay. So maybe on tier 4, push for Bran. Right, it was an option. The Vash game, I had a good start, and then I just fizzled out because it took forever to find a glow scale, and it was so frustrating where I think my 3 or 4 first hero powers on turn 5 did not give me the shield. And that's so backbreaking when you just don't get the shield and you don't roll the glow scale. And then I get 1 Toxfin the whole game as well, where I feel like I'm in
that game was cursed. I agree.
Like I'm in such a good spot to win it, right? Because I can make poison divine shields. It's such a good point because there's no beast, there's no mech. It's such a good lobby to do it, and it's just man, I was so close to getting off, but I think that at that point I probably made some mistakes here or there. I distinctly remember just being too tired, not seeing that I hadn't jumped one of my Leroys out of blaster range. I had 2 Leroys, which I needed because I just didn't roll poisons. And I didn't end up gemming the second Leroy out of blaster range. And I end up losing specifically because I have 1 too few units at the end. And one of my Leroys did die to a blaster. So once again, very high level, very specific. But had I been 100%, I probably would have done that. So that is absolutely a mistake. Whereas, we can blame the game not giving me a shield. We can blame the game not giving me a second Toxfin or, God forbid, a 3rd or a 4th Toxfin the whole game. Because I had Golden Brand at some point, right? I think.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. You Golden Brand, but like no fucking Primal Fin, no nothing, right? No Tavern Tempest, no Murazon, nothing to really give me. Yeah, it was such a sad experience where it's so easy with a Golden Brand to make your whole board poison, let alone make more than 1 poison. But it didn't happen. So, but once again, had I played it perfectly, right, the gems would have been on the Leroy. I tie that fight. Maybe my next turn is great. I find another poison. I wiggle my way into second, maybe even first, and then I've qualified because I was 1 point off in the end. And that's because my direct competitor placed, I think, 6th or 5th instead of just bottom 2. And I placed 3.5 instead of 2nd or 1st.
Right.
So very, very, very close. Overall, I'm very happy with how I played in the tournament because I've definitely played in those things before, and I was much more nervous then, and I played way too different. I think now I had a much better calibration where my plays were still slightly adapted to a Lobby Legends environment, but not to the point where I wasn't able to have some confidence to win, right? I think that Millhouse pick, that was a very clear signal of I'm here to win. Because, that's what I would have picked on ladder, and it made sense with the minion types. And yeah, it's a little risky, but as I mentioned before, you're not going to qualify if you just don't take any risks. Because if you take no risks, that means you're probably going to end up 6, 7, or 8 anyway, because your board is just not good enough to deal with whatever the opponents are presenting. So yeah, that was my tournament. I came very close, and there was definitely small mistakes, or even just whole different games that could have been played. As Collins pointed out, there was a wisdom ball option in my Elise game where I still feel like that game was fine with solo 4, given that I didn't hit any of my beast shit because the Malagos hit everything. Still salty about that. I'm just watching that port and I'm just like, Jesus, man, 4 baby Kurt. I'm not 2 crocodiles. Triple into Goldred. Oh my God. Anyways, so that's why I'm also not really too sad about it to talk about it or anything, because I feel like I did get better compared to last time. And it is painful that I got so close and then didn't make it, because it was a $100,000 tournament that was 1 point away, right? That does hurt. But it's cool to be in contention, I think. It's cool that it's an option. Whereas before, I think mentally I was like, okay, I'm good enough to qualify for that tournament, but I'm not good enough to push through. So I think next time I'm in a situation like that, I'm like, hey, I'm here, I'm one of the guys, and it could be me, right? Why not?
Yeah. So overall, yep, definitely agree with all of that. Yep, good review.
Yeah, that was a monologue. Sorry, you talk for 20 minutes now, Collins.
In terms of the tournament, I reviewed all the games. I pretty much didn't really have an issue with any of the games except for the 5th game, the Elise game. That was the only one where I was like, definitely think you could have played a little bit different, especially given the situation you were in. Right, you did have that not a lot of points in the first game, so you really do need a push for that high point game. And I think Wisdom Ball would be the one that gets you that second or first place that would give you an edge there. You also it also doesn't trigger too badly because you start with the 6 gold because you're double gambler, so it's only 40 gold, which is pretty good. And you can definitely Murlocs are in and whatever. There's a lot of options to just have a good board state. You don't have to play Murlocs though. I think you could have played like all you need is one direction and you copy it, right? So.
I think with Murlocs in, I agree that I wouldn't push 5 then. I think I would just be on 4 and roll on 4.
I think even if Murlocs are out, it's not bad to have the Wisdom Ball pick. This I do think it helps, right? But I don't think that would be like, oh, Murlocs are out, I can't pick it out. I would probably still take Wisdom Ball there. So that's just my personal thing. But I think even like just considering like I need to win the lobby, Smoking Gun versus Wisdom Ball, I would lean the Wisdom Ball, right?
Well, I think that's maybe the problem there, or maybe not problem, but difference where
I agree with you.
I was still only 1 point off in the end.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, and so
I don't look at it that way, right? Which is definitely a difference in opinion. Where if I do poorly, I have to like win. You know what I mean? Right. And that's my mindset. Where you're like, I just need consistency in the next 2 games, right? Where I'm like, I need to win the next 2 games or I lose. Essentially. So, it does change my play a little bit.
Sorry, I said I was going to let you talk for 20 minutes. I just wanted to like throw out there that I didn't want to give myself that feeling of, oh, I'm kind of out of it, so I give myself permission to just go crazy and assume that it's going to work out, because if you play that way in such a high stakes environment, the chance that you die,
you can be last place completely.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's the downside of maybe the way I approach it, right? Where either I do poorly and then I recover, right? Like we've seen tournaments like that, or I do poorly and then I'm last place. Because I bust her on the second game as well, and then I don't care about the third because there's no potential there. So there is that risk in my playstyle where it's like you could recover very well and like be top 4 or whatever, but you can also like if that second game is crucial now, like the Elise game becomes like the whole game. If I do poorly there, then there's no opportunity.
It's over.
Where you go for the safe line, and then you have potential in that third game as well, right? So, where I would play it in either everything's equalized in that third game, or I'm completely out of it, right? Essentially, that would be my situation. Right.
I just didn't feel like that was a particularly amazing setup
Necessary.
to go for the first. Yeah, I the way how I had it in mind was I was gonna try to get secure the top 2, top 3
Right.
that game,
Yeah. So
and
so
it felt
I
like a good
I
opportunity
do
to do
I
so,
do
and then
value Wisdom Ball where there are some quests where I'm like, oh, I can win, right? And Wisdom Ball is one of them. Where I see
yeah.
Wisdom Ball and I think, oh, I can win. Like, in most, like, as long as it's I can trigger it in a good turn, like good pace, and
Yeah,
it had
like
the double
yeah.
gambler, right? So it definitely
It was
fits in.
not impossible. It
Yeah.
was not
So
impossible. That's
that
true.
that's why like I see that quest and I instantly like, oh, it was like
I
it's
can do it,
yeah,
yeah.
easy Wisdom Ball there. So I could see like that's just different approaches in dictating how you play the rest of the game out, and for me, I thought like, oh, that's the one thing I think I would change dramatically, but everything else in the rest of the games I was pretty
Yeah.
much happy with.
And
Um,
yeah,
the Naga game, that would or the not
the Vosh,
The Vosh game, right? Um, I didn't have like that one's more like extremely unlucky. You did have the golden brand, so maybe like once you hit it, you roll harder for a primal fin, but like that's not really like the
right.
greatest thing. It's not like you didn't roll at all. Like you rolled respectably enough. It's just like
I
maybe,
did push where
yeah,
it's just
yeah,
I did feel that desperation feeling. I was like, "Are you really screwing me like this where I'm
yeah,
not finding a
yeah,
fucking toxin?
yeah.
Just give me one fucking
Yeah,
toxin."
that game was just like any little thing goes your
Like,
way.
and I
You
make
find
it, right?
you find a primal fin, you find a gold ring, gold something, the taunt giver, not divine shield giver. You find more tox
Yeah,
fins. Like
close
any
enough.
little thing goes your way, and it's a really you're in a fantastic spot. So I can't really say anything about that one. Like you did the best. Like maybe the blaster, right? There were some situations where the Leroys didn't do anything in the fights, but like
Not
like
enough,
it's not
yeah.
like Leroy's a bad card. It's just like in these fights they didn't.
Well, I think I did need to pick up those 2 when they were offered, though, when the way how the game I mean, we can always look at the replay at some
I
point, but
know guarantee pick one. I don't know about, but that's me, right? I don't value Leroy's as much as you guys tend to. Definitely pick the one. Don't know if I'd go for double two, right? Like so maybe I take one and then lead into
Slam 2 because you're still well, the thing is it's a no beast, no mech lobby as well,
mhm.
and I'm so at that point, right, I think I have the 1 poison when
Yeah.
I get
So
the 2
I,
Leroys,
I take
and
the one and then I look for Murloc synergy. Essentially, is
well, in my mind, if I can get 2, 4, 5 Murlocs plus 2 Leroys, I'm golden, right? Because I have the shield generation at that point.
okay.
So I'm just trying to I'm trying to accelerate to the
The
moment where
composition where you have
yeah, where
everything.
my units do stuff
Yeah.
essentially. I'm trying to get
Yeah.
6, maybe 7 units on my board that do stuff, right? That trade 1 for 1 or better.
Yeah.
So
Eh,
I'm trying to rush that stage because normally I'd agree where you try to milk the brand a little bit more, where you don't necessarily need stats, but you can push hard. It's not like I sold my brand at that stage or
no, no,
anything, but
no.
the 3 golds for the Leroy, well, 2 golds for the Leroy could have been invested in rolling. But
Right.
I think at that stage it was just so necessary because I wasn't hitting. I really didn't feel like I could just make my board full of because I can only do 1 permanent divine shield per turn as well
Right.
because I hit that glow scale so late. I'm so far behind on my shielding that yeah, I just felt like I needed it. But once again, maybe it's too defensive. It felt right there, but yeah.
I'm the type of player that just sells a ton of Leroy's. You know what I mean? Where Shady's like, "What do you do? Like, how can you sell this?" But I like just playing the games. I'll buy a Leroy next turn, sell it. And like that all the time. So like my value of Leroy is not as high as like some of. I do think it's a great Leroy lobby. So I don't. I'm not
Yeah,
blaming it
just
per
a good
se.
lobby
Yeah,
to create units that trade 1
yeah,
for 1 or better
yeah.
because you're not going to get rat packed or anything.
But
Yeah.
I'd probably pick one and then like roll, but that's just like my my mentality per se. Like locking myself into double Leroy.
I mean,
not
I
for
was
me.
more than happy to do it because I just had so much garbage on my board.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't really have a problem with this game. This is more of like a curse game.
yeah,
It's
sure,
just
sure,
the
sure.
Elise game. But
That was the wisdom ball stuff.
yeah,
But yeah, no, what I was gonna add is that I think it's totally fine to look back on that and to see things that I could have done better, but to also acknowledge that, I've been given more time now to look at it, first of all, the 2020 hindsight, and also just having more time to analyze the situation. Because whenever you're in that spot, you do have certain constraints where you're in that moment, right? You're experiencing all the pressure and the emotion of playing, and then you have the limited amount of time per turn to make your decisions, and the boards that you're facing are just so
I
damn
agree.
strong
Yeah.
that overall, like, because I my instinct as well is to look at it and like, oh, if there was anything that I could have done better, that was kind of just like, obviously, like, well, of course, would you like your Lyra to survive Blaster? Yes or no, right? That's an obvious one where, yeah, I'd prefer my Lyra to survive Blaster. But there was so much going on that
Right.
I look at that and I said, like, that's okay. That's not something where I look at it as like, I can't believe that I messed that up.
Yeah.
So I guess in that way, I've become a little bit more, on one hand, forgiving, but on the other hand, also just understanding that it's like, yeah, playing at a really high level doesn't mean you're just going to stop making mistakes. That's pretty much it. Like, we want to reduce the frequency, but the moments where you start playing a tournament, you look at all your turns and like, yep, that's how I would do it right now. That's unlikely, right? That you're gonna have that where you start looking at all your turns, and you're like, yep, every single one of those turns, perfect. So
I don't think I've ever had a tournament like that. So,
yeah, right. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that it would be too unreasonable of me to look at it and say, oh, I'm very disappointed with that tournament because there were certain things that I could have done better. I think that once you play that game with yourself, that's a lose-lose situation. So I just opted to not do that this time. So yeah, that's why I was, not unhappy at all to talk about the result, even though, we got so close.
Yeah.
All right. That's enough for Lobby Legends, but it's fun. It's fun to really talk about it because it was a cool experience for me.
All right, sounds good. Next thing I want to talk about is a Twitter post. I feel like it's quite important to mention this run, right?
Of course.
So, there was a post on the Hearthstone Esports Twitter. I guess I can read it for the people. Hey everyone, we're working through the final 2023 announcement plans, and we'll share them in the coming weeks. So that's pretty cool. This means that for December, ladders will not count for the first Master Tours and Battlegrounds Lobby Legends in 2023. But January will. More info coming as soon as possible. So this is really big news, right? Essentially. January ladders doesn't count, but I think we all kind of expected that, right? We've known for a while that this previous qualifier was the last qualifier for the year.
But
so
you're saying December, right? I think you mentioned January.
December. December. You're right. Sorry. Thank you for clarifying. I
right,
switched months, names, heroes.
Well, I mean, sometimes I'm not even sure. I'm just double checking myself. Did he say that? Did he say? Am I going to like correct something he didn't say? But yeah. Anyways,
feel free to do that as well. Yeah. December ladders will not count, but January will. So we've known for a while that this just happening qualifier was the last qualifier of the year. So that's not surprising. However, the new information is that January will count, and it's counting towards the first Master Tour if you play Constructed and BGs in 2023. So this is a big deal. It's pretty much confirming Lobby Legends for 2023 January. So once you're January, you wanna probably grind. Right? I remember last year, or the beginning of this year, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna qualify for Lobby Legends. So I didn't know what the cutoff was. I actually thought it was like top 4, like that. Like that was my my criteria.
Talking about that was an option, right? Yeah. We were like, well, it's gonna be top 12, so technically, yeah. Could be top 4 for me,
top 4,
trainer.
yeah. So I was like, okay, I need to be top 4. So I went hard, because I was like, okay, well, I gotta be top 4. So
The way how I picture that is like Collins with the blinders on and just starts running. Like, I don't know how long we're running, but I'm running. Right. Yeah. That was such a great. The funny thing when that was happening is that when it did get announced that you did have to be top 16, there was this outrage of people like, we didn't know. It was like, come on, guys. Like, what were you losing intentionally to not climb as much? Like, come on, this is bullshit. Like, we knew that it was gonna matter. So yeah, the specifics
I was like, whew, this is so much easier. That
top
was my
16. Yeah.
I was like, whew, I don't have to do anything. I was just like, I was already like top 2 at the time, so I was like, okay, fine. I just chill.
I thought I had to get first. Oh,
yeah. Legitimately.
So to be clear, we haven't had 100% confirmation that ladder is reset by then as well, right? So for a few things, right? So first is, this is not like a 100%, hey, we have a whole Lobby Legends circuit for 2023, right. But the tweet does definitely make you assume that, well, I mean, when we literally read it, right, it says
January will count for BGs in 2023.
Yeah, for BGLL in 2023. Legends, so right. BG Lobby Legends. So with the assumption that there is a January Lobby Legends, it's not too much of an assumption after that they have a circuit similar to the one we had right now. But once again, there's no details shared. It's not official.
It's probably going to change in some circumstance, right? Like
yeah. So there's that. And then the other one I was going to say is, I'm assuming that there will be a reset before the end of January. So
you mean like an MMR reset?
Yeah. So like end of December, roughly, right?
And then I would be surprised if there wasn't.
Exactly. Right. Once again, no confirmation of that, but I think just looking at the times, it's about 4 months, I think, at the end of December, and I think it's about a 4-month period every time. And it would feel weird if they're going to do a whole new.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if they didn't reset the MMR.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise, you got to start playing consoles.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, basically, I've been chilling ever since I realized I can't make it to the last Lobby Legends. I've just been chilling, not caring about my rating at all. Just I win a game, okay. I lose a game, I don't care. Like it's so free. But once January comes, they reset the MMR. Then hopefully back.
Serious phase, baby. Yeah.
So that's pretty nice. Pretty happy to see this. I was a little bit worried about Lobby Legends because we didn't know whether, but this is it's looking like good news for competition, because I can definitely notice how I feel playing without a Lobby Legends and how I feel playing with a Lobby Legends, right? There's definitely more push, more drive, more focus in the game. I learn more, I get better quicker, etc. So just happy to have it here.
You just feel very invested, I think is the perfect word for me. Where if you win, that win is like,
But if you lose,
no.
It's so bad.
Well, in a way, it's easier to reframe then, because I'm just like, all right, I lost, but I learned, but I'm trying to get better because I'm trying to get this number up.
I'm not trying to get better. I'm trying to hit that number above 16.
Well, when you get better, the number just goes up automatically. Like the way how I feel
that's
right now.
Normally how I look at it.
Right.
But these days I want to be in love.
but especially when you have only a few more days to go or so, right? It can really hurt, right? Because you're like, yes, in the long run I get better, but now the number is down, and the return on investment of that lesson that I learned might be longer than the 5 days, right? That I have left.
The first couple of months, right? Every 3 days before the cutoff, I just lose 500 MMR every time. I don't learn any good lessons from that. The lesson I learned is don't play.
Don't you? Yeah, no, don't you. When you're in a good spot, don't you? But yeah, so this is overall great news, because we were definitely
not sure.
We were talking about it on the podcast, where we're just like, well, we don't know if there's going to be Lobby Legends next year. We were just so fortunate, I feel, the way how it's set up right now, where especially for myself, I just love streaming the game, and then to then also have a competitive thing to work towards. It's just like, wow, that's amazing, right? Because there's like instant motivation. I think that's the way. It's like you don't have to ask yourself, oh, it's not like I really have trouble with that right now. Or like, oh, do I want to play another day of BGs? But it's so not an issue when you're playing Lobby Legends. It's like, it's in a way it's free, where you're like, yeah, of course I'm going to play all day. Of course, we gotta get the qualifier. So yeah, very, very relieved, I guess, in a way, to get this tweet that gives us at least a hint of a circuit next year.
Yep. Sounds good. All right. What else do I have? I don't think I have too much after this. Is there anything that I missed?
I took up a lot of time talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. You have used a lot of our time perfectly.
I know. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. It's just been Lobby Legends. But to be fair, no patch. Collins isn't playing as much. We're I guess these are the dry weeks, right? Or at least a dry week. Yeah. I don't know if by next week there's going to be no patch or.
Usually there's like dry weeks, and then the next week, boom, a bunch of stuff,
Boom, yeah. So then we have like a 2.5 hour podcast.
2.5 hour, yeah. Here's a new patch with all the.
Get you guys staggered us. I've been, overall, it's just been having a good time. Been, I did hear from XQN that he wasn't enjoying it as much just because of how strong Murlocs are, especially in certain lobbies.
Some people have been saying they don't like Murlocs, they don't like Hogger, they don't like Cook.
Yeah, delete everything that's not Pashmar.
They don't like Sinstar. They don't like.
They don't like fun. Yeah, it's like. No, it's. I think the Murloc one is one you hear more often, just because.
Always hear it.
Yeah, that is just the stat killer. So you can have a game where you're making big minions, and then you realize at some point that the Manted Queen is better, or the Divine Shield on the ball of minions is better than your 200 Coolbore you made.
No, it's not. Don't tell me that. It is not bad.
that can be. Well, to be fair, if you're at that stage, a lot of the time you do just run Blaster and keep your big minion, right? So I had this awesome Zephy game earlier today where someone tried to poison scam me, and I was like, all right, hold my beer, and I made like a golden
Baron, let's go.
I made a golden reborn coiler. I put it in the back, and I'm like, all right, scam that. That was pretty satisfying, bro. It's like, all right, don't worry, just sit right there. I'm gonna bring my anti-scam technology here. So I do enjoy when you can do that, but when no beast, no mech, I agree, it's stupid. I think in beast mech lobbies, I do still enjoy those games tremendously, because you can really punish people doing poison stuff.
Yeah.
You can, be like, oh, you're gonna just rely on small health poison minions. All right, well, that's on you. Just one blaster kills your board, etc. So I do enjoy doing that. Or like Omega Buster Kangur can farm it. As I mentioned, the Golden Reborn Coiler can, essentially trade 3 or more Murlocs on its own. But I think the problem a lot of people have is when they get huge, like with Honcho, and then they Toxfin, because then it's no longer poison scam.
Wow.
Then it's just big things with poison. And, you don't just kill that with a coiler.
So I'm looking at the top 1% for BGs in the last 7 days.
Okay. 1, I will have a look.
Great Akazan. Number 2, Toki. Number 3, Tess. Number 4, George. Number 5, Edwin. Number 6, Greybo. What? All of these, I'm like, what?
Well, some of them I can explain.
It's right? All you, Shady? It's all you? Okay. I think.
Well, I think Greybo's really good, right? Because he gets up to 9 armor. and he's got a very useful hero power. So there's certain lobbies where you just get such an insanely free quest where you could play like Pilfered Lamb's Greybow, right? Or you could play Cookbook Greybow, get him online turn 6, turn 7 because your quest is so easy. So Greybow, right? Edwin,
Wow.
similar, but I guess slightly harder quest, right? Because higher armor tier, but just very safe.
If you told me
George,
to put the top 10 list, I would get like all of them wrong, except for Millhouse.
right.
I get all of them wrong in this.
Well, the weird thing is that that's still 11K, which is
right.
top 200 roughly. And yeah, when you compare how the top 20 picks their heroes and plays their heroes compared to the top 200, that's still a factor of 10. So there's still picks here where I say, yeah, that might work when you're top 200, which is so stupid to say, right? So I would say that what is lower that I think is way better. Like I think Flurg, I think is just played very wrong, where people don't do the honcho thing, because I think Flurg is still good, especially in the no mech no beast lobby. It's so dominant. Jandis, Vol'jin, I think are also better than some of those armor heroes that are offered. But when we look at it's hard to mess up, right? Like picking a high armor hero. I think George is the one that stands out a little bit there, because I think George is tier 2, so that's not that easy of a quest, but only has a 21% pick rate. So I think a lot of that is people recognizing, okay, no mech no beast, and just do like poison stuff with George, and then I'm
That's
strong.
usually what low pick rate means. They need specific lobbies. It's not like they're bad, or you're getting people like, oh, this is my tech hero. I love Guff. Oh yeah, Guff. Yeah, like I'm so good at this. Like it's like this is a good lobby or something.
Man, on a completely unrelated side tangent, when you said, "Oh yeah, Guff," I've been rewatching The Simpsons, and you were just like Duff Man for me first thing. Like, oh yeah, Duff. So that was okay. Anyways, no, I agree. It's very. I think the one that's weird is the scam guy with the 10% pick. I think that's just people that have comfort.
Yeah, that one does feel like comfort. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I think that one just skews the stats, because you have a 10% pick
10%
rate.
is like nothing.
Yeah, people just very, very comfortable with this hero picking him, and
like these people love ice block, and they're like, okay, I know how to get top 4 with an ice block extra health. Like they're really good at that. That makes sense.
I think it's really just the high armor count, and then because I think when you're about top 200, I think you can a lot of the time hover there just by going like, all right, high armor, easy quest, high tempo, go top 4, boom. Yeah, but once the 3.5 starts losing you points, once 3 is break even, it's like you can't just always do the high armor thing, right? Because at some point it doesn't work out, you take an L, and that means that a lot of your other games,
for the game, your days,
you do need to win and get second places. So understanding when it's a 6 scabs lobby, it's a 6 Vol'jin lobby, it's what else do we have here? Gallywix, Rat King as well, right? Rat King is all the way tier 3 or bottom tier 2, yeah, like bottom-ish tier 2. Rat King as well is such a
solid hero in the right lobbies.
Yeah. Same thing with Brucon, right? We see Brucon as well, middle of tier 2. I think in a lot of cases, Brucon's still better than all those armor heroes, just because you have such an insanely free quest when it's, spawn or death rattle or have X amount of friendly minions killed. But we see a recurring theme, and I think that's fair. I think that if you are essentially, unless you are playing for front page, you're gonna do really well by going with easy quests.
Yeah, a lot of the best heroes don't have good first place rates. It's just interesting.
They just don't lose as much, right?
Yeah, not my style, but I understand it for sure.
It's okay. Anyway, I think it's a good place to end, where We yeah, it's a good one. Like it's like a small episode in the dry week. I think that's totally fine.
It's a big episode because of your review. Okay, Shady, don't forget about that. You covered
Right.
a lot.
I did my my play by not really play by play, but
Felt like it.
took you guys through my tournament in I don't know, like 40
I
minutes.
felt like I was there, Shady.
That's what I was going for, Collins. So thank you.
Yeah. Perfect. But thank you guys for joining us today. That will be end of this episode. You can find us at HSBG Podcast at gmail.com. I guess you can find us at Educatedcollins and Shady Bunny on Twitch. But you can send us an email at hsbgpodcast.com. Feel free. Happy holidays. Happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate. And if you don't, also happy random day of the week, which I think you should always celebrate every week. So pick a day and then, random. It's a Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Anyways, that's about it. See you guys later. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful evening, and bye-bye. Shay, you're supposed to say something at the end.
I missed. I'm sorry. I've been.
It's part of the spiel. I say bye-bye, and then you say some closing random whatever. Right. Then I cut it there.
Bye, guys. Right on time.
Yeah, that's where I cut it.
Right. Post-production. We can fix that.
Yeah, I will. Hopefully.
Copium, yeah.
Copium. I have all this part at the end. Wouldn't that be funny? Wouldn't that be hilarious?
Yeah, we'll just keep this in all the way up until now.